Hi, so long time no speak and lots to update you on. There's a very real chance, like 100% chance, that I am going to be losing my job. And that will be in 2026, maybe 2027. But the announcement layoffs have been put out there, and just waiting to see when my time is. But honestly, I'm not panicking, because the more I know, the more I can plan, the more I can pivot, and the calmer I feel. And so I'm feeling okay about it. I'm doing okay. But the big thing here is, I've always said that when I retire, I'm going to get my camper van. This is launching me into that much faster, and the severance is my launch button. That's what's going to get me into the camper van a lot quicker than I anticipated. So if I can hold out at my job until October of 2026, which is a possibility, and then put myself at least October 26, I will then fall into the undiscounted pension, so I don't get a discount on my pension. I will get full pension, because that's when I hit 62. The building that the people who are going to be keeping their jobs is not going to be done until 2028. So there is time, and if the layoff comes towards the end of the year, I can then put my severance over into the next following tax year, so I don't get slammed for taxes, which which will be a big help. January 2026 is when I'll know about my job and my layoff date. But January 2026 is also the Calgary RV show. So I get to do some window shopping at like it's like adult Disney, with money in my pocket, with an idea of what I'm going out there and what I can buy. It's definitely going. I've moved from going in a Class C, which is the small motorhomes, into a Class B, which is a camper van. It's just so much smaller. It's more expensive to buy, but it's cheaper to run. And it's all the space that I need. So going to the show is sort of where I physically can touch the dream. I have my must-haves that I really want in there, which is a bed, obviously, somewhere to sleep. I would like to have a toilet and shower plumbed in, but if it's not the end of the world. We need a fridge, we need somewhere to keep the food cold, but that doesn't necessarily have to be a fridge. That can be an electric cold box. I need to have somewhere I can cook. Not that I cook very much, but it will be good to have like an induction hot plate. Again, that doesn't need to be built in. That's something that I can bring in. And I need solar and Starlink, and that's something that I know nothing about. I know nothing about solar, about the electricity, about the batteries, about the car battery feeding this part of the motorhome, and the solar battery feeding that part, and there's a lot to learn in there. I also have to look at, do I buy used or do I buy new? Again, talking about not knowing anything of how the electrics work, if I go for new, then everything is digital. Everything is on that panel that's on the side, or on the inside of the van. Whereas if I go for an older one, it's analog, it's pressing switches, it's going to be harder for me. Everything is new and shiny, but if I go older, I'm going to have to learn how to do a lot of work for myself. And I know there's courses I can take that will teach me how to do that. So that's a bonus as well. So I'll have to learn things like solar, wiring, battery isolation, how to change fuses. Yeah, and I need to learn where I need to go to learn those things. But that also brings us into the second part of the equation. Do I go for do I buy a fully completed off-the-shelf van, or do I buy a van off of a dealership and do all of that work myself? And again, we've already touched on it. I'm not good at doing that, but it's also a cheaper way of doing it because I can spread the work over time. But it takes away the convenience. There's going to be, if I do that, there'll be lots of emotional breakdowns. But in the background, I also need to think, I live in a condo, I have no work tools, no power tools. I also have nowhere to work. So do I rent a garage for a year or two and work on it? I don't know. These are things that are in the equation that I just don't know about. And then I start thinking, I'm constantly thinking about this, but I start thinking about, where does that new life take me? What's going to be my first port of call? Where do I go first? And I have two very, very dear friends that live in northern Ontario, miles away from anywhere, miles away from life. They're living off-grid, they've got 80 acres out there, and they're building up their new life. And I would love to be able to go out and see them. So that would be my first port of call. They have their channel, their Our Better Life channel, and I'll put the link here and in the description as well. So they're going to be my first port of call. I have another friend in Ontario that I would like to go and see, but I know that she's moving, so I'll find out where she lands and then I'll go and see her. I've never been out to the East Coast. I have never done, well, I've been into Montreal, but I've never done Quebec as a whole. I've never done East Coast. I've never done Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, New Brunswick. Never done any of that. So I think a lot of time will be there. Not be going down south of the border. I won't be doing that for a good few years. So I have to think about where to go in Canada, especially during the winter. Central British Columbia is supposed to be warmer, and while Nova Scotia isn't warmer, it's not as snowy, so I can deal with rain. I can't drive in snow, so I want to see what's out east. I have also never been to Vancouver Island, so I'd like to go out and spend some time out in Vancouver Island. And I have a friend out there that I'd like to go and see. And anything in the Northwest Territories, Yukon, any of those I haven't been to. I also need to learn how to do boondocking. Just going on Crown land, going into the wilderness, into the woods, being completely off-grid on my own for a couple of weeks. I think you can only stay, depending where you are, you can only stay 14 or 21 days in one spot on the Crown land before you have to move on. If anybody's watching from the States, that's like the BLM land. It's sort of unowned land, so to speak. So if you go there, you won't be trespassing on it. Then I also need to think about the safety aspect. Do I get a big dog. I think I think that's definitely in the equation at some point, but there's other things that I need to think about. I need to be able to lock the van entirely from the inside. So a click of the button locks in all the doors. Do I put cameras on the outside of the van to be able to see if people are approaching? There's also thinking about, do I share locations? Now I know that Google and Apple have the ability to share your locations, you share with friends, or the Live 360. And I think it's important to be able to share your location just for peace of mind, that if anything does happen and you have to reach out to anyone to say, get me help, they know exactly where you are. What else? Yeah, let's go back to talking about the dog. The dog also changes how you travel. I can't pull up to somewhere in Nova Scotia and think I'm gonna walk here for the next 8 hours, but there's a sign that says no dogs allowed. Having the dog is going to restrict me in some places and some things I can do, because I can't leave the dog in the van for hours and hours on end. So there will be, well, how can I think? There will be logistical changes to how I would travel, how I would see things. What else is there to think about? Van life is also not free. So I still need to think about the gas, food, insurance, Starlink, repairs. There's lots that it still adds up. So at the end of the day, this isn't me running away. It's running towards something rather than running from something. It's going to be freedom and adventure and mountains and beaches, and it's a horizon that's constantly moving. And basically, I'm going to be bringing you with me. So yeah, let's see where life takes us. There's lots of waiting around to find out if I will be severed, how much that package is going to be, when work is going to end, and then the decisions around buying the new vehicle. So again, I'll take you with me. I will take you shopping when I go to the RV show, and if you want to keep catching up, just like and subscribe, and it'll let you know when the next video drops. So thanks for watching, and I am so excited about this. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.